There is nothing, no problem that cannot be figured out. That statement gives me peace.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris. I like stories. I want to tell you a story today, and I love how stories relate to life, relate to business. I want to share one of those analogies with you today. I want to pause and first remind you that we are sponsored by ANOW Software, which, by the way, is offering 30% off for your first 3 months. You just have to use coupon PODCAST30. That's PODCAST 30. All right, folks, I want to talk to you about an experience I had a couple years ago, actually. I was up in the Victor area of Idaho. This is just on the other side of the Teton Mountain Range. Have you ever seen those beautiful pictures of the Tetons? Typically, you're looking at those from the Wyoming side for some reason. I think the Idaho side is much prettier. But anyway, I was on my way to an appointment, and I did a stupid thing. I followed the GPS rather than my gut. You ever done that? You look at the GPS and you go, that doesn't seem right, but hey, Google must know best, right? And I followed the GPS and I went down a road. It was probably about 5 miles. Now, 5 miles doesn't sound like much for those of you who might be in a city or, on rural country roads, but when you're on a dirt, gravel, almost Jeep trail, 5 miles is a long way. And this was one of those roads. This was one of those situations where the road got narrower. It turned from pavement to gravel. It turned from gravel to dirt. It turned from dirt to who knows. And I just kept thinking, okay. And I could see my destination. It wasn't that far. And I could also see that the way around was quite extensive, meaning once you've already traveled about 30 minutes down a road, it's really hard, and it's pride, but it's really hard to say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Google is not right this time. Maybe I should turn around and go the long way. So guess what I kept doing? That's right. I let pride get the best of me, and I kept pushing along. I thought, I've come this far. You've come this far, Dustin. Keep moving. You're going to make it. It's right there. I can see the dot. And then I came to a creek. And folks, this was not just a creek. This was just shy of a river. We'll put it that way. And it was crossing my road, and I could see no way around it. And I could only see a way through it. Now, keep in mind, I was not in a Jeep. I was on a Jeep trail. I was not in a Jeep. I was in my car. I was in a Subaru Legacy that, by the way, of all the Subarus, sits maybe not as much as the hot rods, but sits pretty low to the ground. There's not a whole lot of clearance on those things. And I'm thinking, what do you do now, Dustin? What do you do now? Do you turn around and you go back 30, 40 minutes around and then come back around and I could see it, folks. I could see the house from where I was. And I thought to myself, what do I do next? And I sat there and I thought about it. And then I came up with a solution. Before I tell you that solution, I want to tell you a solution to your problem of trying to run your business and be an appraiser at the same time. It's called ANOW Software. Folks, I get asked all the time, well, Dustin, I'm just a single person office. I'm a single woman or single man appraisal office. Why would I need ANOW? Folks, trust me when I say ANOW is for the single appraiser probably more than it's for the multi-appraiser office. Now, I have a multi-appraiser office. I get it. But folks, I coach many, many appraisers who are the only appraiser in their business, and they may not even have any help. They may have no secretary, no receptionist, no data entry clerk, none of that. And they're still using ANOW software. Why? Because it will simplify your life. Folks, when you have people working for you, maybe it's not that big of a deal because they can keep track on other things. Now, I think it's a big deal no matter what. But when someone asks me, Dustin, do I need ANOW software if I'm the only appraiser in the office? Not just yes, but heck yes. ANOW software, anow.com. Use the coupon code podcast30, and you can get 30% off, not your first month, not just your second month, but 3 months, 30% off. Podcast30 is the coupon code. It's anow.com. I want to welcome you back to the program, everybody. I'm telling you a quick story here on today's mini-sode, and it has to do with me going down a very long road and coming to a creek that, let's just be honest, it could not be crossed, not with the car that I was in. And I sat there and thought to myself, okay, Dustin, you can try to cross it, which you'll probably end up in trouble. And by the way, I was in the middle of nowhere. At this point, I had no service at all. Okay, probably not the best idea. I literally could see the house that I was going to. It was probably, I don't know, quarter mile away. I could match up the dot. I could see the roof line. It looked pretty similar to what I was expecting. That's the house. There it is. I'm in trouble. because I'm not there. I'm here. I've already traveled 30 minutes, 40 minutes down this long, long road. Yes, I trusted the GPS. There should be a whole podcast on trusting GPSs, right? Not a good idea. I should have went with my gut. I should have turned around when my gut said this doesn't look right. When it turned from gravel to dirt, that was a pretty good indicator that I was maybe headed down the wrong road. Now, I knew I was headed in the right place. The GPS was not wrong. It was leading me to the house, but there was probably a better way to do it. I don't know if I had it set on walking or mountain biking, or you know how you can change the type of vehicle that you're in when you're using Google. I don't remember. I just remember thinking, I've made a mistake. Here I am. There's the creek. What do I do now? So step number one, or choice number one, door number one is I try to cross the creek. Probably not the best idea. Door number two, turn around and go back. Now, I was already running late because it already took me longer to get there than it should have. Now, I set up my appointments in Windows, which, by the way, I would highly recommend that you do. And by the way, what that means is instead of saying I will be there at 9:30, we typically set it up, the appraiser will be there between 9 and 11. It works really, really well. I know some of you are screaming, you can't do that. Okay, trust me, I've been doing it now for almost 10 years. It works just fine. So we were in a window, and I was still in that window. I was not late yet. In fact, I probably had 25 minutes before that window closed. I did not have service. I was in the middle of nowhere. I was in the middle of the forest, folks. Okay, door number one, cross the creek. Not a good idea. Door number two, turn back. I'm going to be late at that point. What do I do? Folks, have you ever been in a situation where you just struggle to know what to do? Well, let me share with you a principle, okay? And I'm going to make a bold statement here. And I know there's exceptions to this statement, okay? That's not where we're going with this, okay? Don't go down that road. I want to take the positive road here. And the statement is this: there is nothing that cannot be figured out. Let me repeat that. There is nothing, no problem that cannot be figured out. That statement gives me peace. Because whenever I deal with a challenge at work, whenever I deal with a struggle, whenever I deal with things that, let's be honest, make a lot of appraisers angry, and they jump on their keyboards on Facebook and they fire off a comment or a post about this, that, or the other, about how unfair life is, and man, I wish things were different. Folks, I want to repeat, there is nothing that cannot be figured out. And I knew that when I was sitting there and that creek was in front of me and door number one didn't look good and door number two didn't look good. And I asked myself, what other choices do I have? Now, many of you have probably already solved the problem before I even got here. It took me a while. And then I thought, Dustin, why do you have to take your car to the appointment? It's you can see the house. It's a quarter mile away. That's not that far. That'll take you 15 minutes to walk. Yeah, I walk slow. Now, the creek in front of me was too big for my car, too deep for my car, but it wasn't too difficult for me because I could use rocks and I could use tree trunks and whatever else is laying across the creek to get across. Folks, I was raised in Idaho. I can get around. We spent a lot of time in the hills. I know how to get across a creek safely. And I did. I gathered up my laser measuring device and my smartphone, and I put on my boots. I always carry a set of boots in the back of my trunk. By the way, love muck boots. Completely waterproof, very warm, easy to get on and off. Just a little hint there. And I put those on, and I crossed the creek, and I walked to the house. And of course, the homeowner said, "Where's your car?" And I laughed and explained to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, that happens." And they understood. But I got the appraisal done, and then I walked back, and my car was still there. And I turned around, and I went to my other appointments, and I wasn't late to one appointment that day. Folks, there is nothing that cannot be figured out. Next time you're dealing with a challenge, next time you look at a big hairy monster in front of you and think, "How do I get around this thing? How do I forge this creek, this river that's in front of me?" Remember that there's more choices to just door one and door two. There's always a door three. Folks, would love to share with you more analogies and more ways of doing things, and I would hope that you would consider joining the All-Star team. We have spaces available. Every month we meet in an interactive meeting. Would love to have you be a part of that meeting. Be a part of a group of appraisers who are positive and uplifting and are there to help each other succeed. You can find out more by going to my website, theappraisercoach.com.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.